All right, good to see everybody. As always, difficult. Got to make difficult decisions, and it's never easy. I don't care how many times you go through it. It's emotional for everybody, you know, when you're releasing a player. But our guys and our staff and our coaches, they all handle it the right way. It's hard to say goodbye to some. A lot of them will be back on the practice squad. And as all of you know, the roster is very flexible, especially the first month of the season. I've always kind of believed that and said that. I think if you just look in the past, how we start is not always how it ends up. But feel good about where we're at, ready to get ready to go, ready to get ready for Houston. So fire away.
Any area particularly hard to cut down?
D-line. Which, look, 2 of them got claimed. So we knew that was going to be a tough cut. And I'll give Tom Telesco credit now because Jonah, you know, he's probably not ready, but he will be one day. He's going to be a good player. And then Eric just kept getting better. Just, you know, we got 5 really good players inside that are all going to help us, and everybody can't make it. So happy for both of them that they're going to be on a 53-man roster.
Chris, what do you see in your secondary that maybe we're not seeing? Why are you so bullish on this group?
They're young. They're going to continue to get better. Sometimes you got to be able to meet, like things don't always work out, even when you're trying to acquire a player. I'm not saying we didn't try to do some things. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. But we do think we have good young talent back there, and we have a lot of belief in our front. So we'll continue to let these guys grow and come on. They don't become players without playing. I mean, I think sometimes we forget that. You know, they got to play.
Chris, what went into the decision with Sam, 3 quarterbacks?
Well, you know, we thought the rule was going to change, which it didn't. But look, Sam, I think with that position is such a critical position that the second you don't need a third quarterback, you need a third quarterback. Sam's a good football player, and he brings a lot, not only as a player to this team, but also to the room, to the offense, and to the team as a whole of who he is.
So you think he probably would have gotten claimed? I mean,
you never know, but I'm guessing, yeah.
What have you guys seen out of Nick Cross this training camp?
I think better. I think he's consistently got better. Like, we forget it wasn't Nick's fault that we drafted him at 20. That's on me. He's young. And then you get up here and you talk glowingly about him, and you almost blow the expectations to where we all expect something. You forget how young he was. But I think he's seen a guy that just consistently get better each and every week. And I thought this preseason he played really well. I thought even through practice, through games, he played really good football. So I'm excited to see for him to take another step.
one other thing on the secondary, just in terms of depth, do you feel good about that? Any concerns there? What do you think?
So we just you saw, I mean, we put a claim in for Womack, who we like, comes from a very similar system. We liked him in the draft a couple years ago. And then when he let go, we thought he'd be a good fit and add to the depth to our team. We'll continue to dig like we do. I think if you kind of look back, I mean, even Shane and I were just talking about, you know, the running back situation last year. Who can name the 3 runners? First game versus Jacksonville. Yeah, so if things change.
Are you worried with Matt Gay right now with what happened in the preseason?
No, he's a good kicker. Really good kicker. Yeah.
When you look at
Let me defend Matt here a little bit, because there's more to the story. I'm not going to give you all of it, but when he went, there's not many people go into Baltimore and go 5 for 5 with how many over 50 that day? That doesn't have 4 over 50. Guy's really talented.
Do you view Nick as the other starting safety back there next to Julian Blackman, or how do you all evaluate who plays next to him?
A coaching staff will get that all set next week.
When you say there's more to the story, I mean, you mean currently recently?
No. Last year.
Okay.
Yeah, last year.
Any idea on Josh Downs, are you?
Not yet. Hopeful, making progress, but not ready to say he's going to be ready week 1.
With the other injuries, just your thought process on Ebicom.
Yeah, that's fair. All right.
Roll the dice.
It's a long shot. There's no doubt. But if you're gonna bet on somebody, you bet on Sampson. It is a long shot, but you never know. So he was one. We really didn't have anybody else that was kind of a bring back guy. So him and McGrone were the two. We do think we'll get, Cam back at some point, who I just have to tell y'all, couldn't be more proud for a kid who practice squad, inactive, never doubted, kept fighting. And what sucks is he was just making these tremendous strides. I don't think, sometimes you don't notice like we do because we're watching that tape every day, but he just made tremendous strides here in the last year and a half. And then unfortunately go out with the elbow injury. But we think we'll get him back at some point. But Sampson is just, look, you never know. You never know.
Jelani Wood's not really an option for that. Is he just too far?
No. Yeah, no.
What the conversation's been like with him, obviously went through the last 2 years, and how do you evaluate him going forward?
Oh, it sucks. I mean, because he's a really good kid. He worked his tail off. He was making big strides. It's just like a lot of times in life, you're defined by the things you overcome, and he's just going to have to overcome it. It does make the evaluation tougher just because he's been hurt the last 2 years. It's kind of like Scott, too, who we drafted a couple years ago, who we think the world of Scott. Smart. Every time he's out there in the offseason, he's great, but he tears an ACL and he tears an Achilles. I wish I had a magic wand to, eliminate those injuries, but I'd probably be making a lot more money and doing something else if I could fix those problems for everybody.
Chris, I don't know if you're comfortable mentioning this one, but you mentioned the roster is going to change a lot in the first month. It always does. Do you have any certain positions? Again, this is where I'm not sure you want to say it, but do you have any spots that you kind of see it being more fluid than others?
No, that's fair. Anytime we think we need to, if we have a chance to upgrade it, and there's really a player we think is going to upgrade, we'll do it. So it's universal across.
With all the moves you've made and you've seen this team in training camp, is this a team that should compete for something?
We feel like we will be in the mix. Look, we were in the mix a year ago. And sometimes, I think I said this earlier, where sometimes the scars are good for you. Hard times can be good for you. Defeat, failure can be good for you if you handle it right. I have a lot of belief in the leadership, one of Shane, but also these players, from guys that have been there and been through a lot, and they're all good players, and they're all committed. It'll be fun to watch this team grow through the season and go through it.
Chris, veteran team, all you guys are back. So veteran team, young quarterback, immensely talented quarterback, but very young. What's a realistic expectation in your mind for Anthony this year? What does that look like? To play winning football, there's gonna be some roller coaster moments. I don't even I won't say all, but most quarterbacks when they're young go through those moments. There's gonna be, but learn from them, grow, and keep moving forward. I think you can just kind of look around the league with some guys that, with Anthony's skill set, it was a little bit up and down. One thing I have a lot of confidence in Shane and Jim Bob and all the offensive staff. They'll do what he is really good at and comfortable doing, and then what the offense can do.
Chris, do you view yourself on any sort of hot seat going into the season?
I think every year you do. That's kind of how I'm wired, but no different than any other year.
How do you evaluate just what you saw at Anthony this training camp? Is there a certain area you thought he really grew in?
We got it. The more he plays, the more he sees, the better it's going to get. I do think he will do a better job protecting himself. I do think that is one area that you will see. But look, eventually the game starts and the instincts turn on, and so you'll see. But just his understanding of the offense and what he likes, that's a big point of this. Now, you want the quarterback to have some belief
and what he's running, and to be a little more opinionated about, hey, I like Shane, I like this, Jim Bob, this is something I feel comfortable with. And I think the more he plays, the more he'll become vocal about that.
Going into year 8 with the franchise, you know your record, you know what you've done, haven't done. Why should people believe that you are the right GM for the job to take this team for its been to where you want to go?
I've never want. I guess maybe because my DNA is not. I've always had a strong belief in myself and those around me. Strong belief in what we do. And if you just kind of look through the first few years, and we made the playoffs 2 of the first 4, had to overcome a quarterback retiring on us, still found a way. I thought our 20 team was excellent. We just lost a tough game to Buffalo. That ended up being a really good team. And I thought in 21 was another really good football team. And it all kind of fell apart. The last 3 years not making the playoffs, it's a disappointment. I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't. But I still have a very strong belief in what we're doing, how we're doing it, and how we're going to get there. And that will not – either you believe for something or you believe nothing. Like, it's easy to vacillate. Easy to vacillate and go with what the world wants you to do. You either believe in something or you don't. This is what we believe. If it gets me fired, so be it.
I'm sorry. You mentioned the good teams in 2021. Is this the most complete roster you think you've put together since you've been here?
I guess time will tell. I feel really good about our fronts, man. I mean, I do. I think we're really good up front. I think on both sides of the ball, you could say this is probably our best front teams. I think the skill. Now, they're young, but I do think we're really skilled. I mean, Bowen ought to at least be freaking happy for once. I mean, I got heard about beat over the head with wideouts forever. And you too. I think it's a good team. I think it's a really good football team. Now we got to go perform. I have a lot of belief in our coaches and what they can do, and our staff. It's an excellent staff. Here's what makes Shane really good. You never hear him. He never complains. Like, you never hear him making an excuse or complain. Hey, who'd I got? All right, let's make it work. If he needs something better, hey, it'd be nice if we had something better. If not, we'll find a way to make this work. That's what good teams do. Like, when you look across the league, everybody has a void. I mean, I know not at times you don't always see it, but everybody has a little bit of a void. Now, there's not perfection. You're striving for perfection, but everybody's got a little bit of a void. And how do you play around it? How do you play to your strengths and hide your weaknesses?
Chris, what did Jason Bean show you in the preseason to where you want to keep him around?
It's a great story. Yeah, I really like Jason and what we think he can become. I had a good view of it because I got to see him play live in a couple games last year watching my son, and I was at the Oklahoma State game, and he just freaking lit it up. They ended up losing, but I thought he was outstanding. Then the last game of the year against Cincinnati, he was incredible. So I think his poise, I thought he was a better thrower than people were giving him credit for. And then I thought what we do offensively was a really good fit, for him. He's still got work to do. He knows it. But excited, to continue to work with him and watch him develop.
Chris, with Shane, how have you seen him kind of build on, he's got the foundation set through year 1, now in year 2, kind of build on the standard and the expectations that he set? He
doesn't flinch on what he believes, which I love. Like, and we don't always agree. I mean, I think that's a good for a relationship. Like, if we're all agreeing something's off. There's not a kumbaya in those meetings all the time where me and Shane are giving hugs and high fives. That's not reality. But reality is he's very convicted in what he wants and how he wants to do it. And that does not, and I think the more he's been, after being a year as a head coach, I think it's even cemented even stronger now. I mean, there's things that he believes in and we're going to do. And sometimes guys don't make the roster before it. So be it. He is a really good head football coach.
Like you mentioned, last year you guys had used a lot of running backs. So how do you feel about just the group you have behind Jonathan Taylor right now?
Yeah, no, like the group. It was a really tough decision between, especially with Sermon getting hurt, but we really liked what Sermon was doing last year and in the offseason. And that includes, we like some of the things Goodson did. We still like Hall. At the end of the day, Goodson just did a little bit more, a little more well-rounded right now. But look, Hall's still going to be definitely in the mix with us. But I think it's a good, well-rounded group, and I think we've got a Jonathan who I think's a superstar.
Chris, you guys waived the 3 draft picks. I looked it up. You've actually, waived a draft pick, I think, every year. What goes into the balance of, wanting to invest in those draft picks versus making a decision?
That's fair. That's a fair question. I think we've drafted how many over the last years? 21. That's a lot of picks, which we like. Not all of them are going to make it. All right, but what you hope is you can get them back. Unfortunately, with Jonah, you risk losing a guy, when you subject him to waivers. But that's part of it. When your philosophy is you're going to continue to draft that many players, some of them are going to get cut, and some of them need more development.
Your commitment on the offensive line, how confident are you with the backup tackle? Freeland seemed like he struggled. Can you go with a rookie, or what do you look at?
Yeah, that's good. So, look, I thought Freeland, one thing I really liked about him last year, even though he had some rough moments, which, look, most third, fourth tackles do, but he never once jumped off the abyss, and he kept fighting. So all offseason, Braden Smith is down. So he's got every rep at right tackle for the entire OTAs, mini camp, really the start of training camp. Then we kick him to the left side, and some technique issues started showing up. That's a harder transition. It's not just an easy jump for you to do. So we just got to continue to get him more reps. We settled him back down on the right side. I thought Matt did some good things at both tackle spots. So we feel good about both of them. They'll continue to compete, for that swing tackle. But we feel good. I feel like we got 4, viable tackles. I know this. When I'm getting calls from other teams for them, that also shows where there's not a lot of them out there.
How have you seen Anthony mature from the guy you knew when you drafted him? He was 20, so now being 22, father, QB1, all those things.
A lot. It's a lot on him now. All of a sudden you get drafted, you got these expectations, you got to go through the injury, you become a dad, handling the pressure and the expectations. He's still young. He still is. He's not like any 22-year-old young man. They're not fully matured yet, even though they think they are. But just being probably more aware of everything that he's got going on around him, responsible, really tightening his circle up of, who's involved, who's with him. That's fun. And, that's probably one of the most gratifying things is to watch these young men become men. That's a cool thing, man. It really is. It's fun to watch them settle down, turn 26, 27, get married, have kids, start thinking about life after football. That's part of the part I enjoy in this. I do. I enjoy that relationship part of it. I enjoy watching these guys turn into men. They're not men yet. They're not. They're still young. They're young men. They're not fully formed men yet.
So, along similar lines, this is a different experience for you for the most part since you've been here. You've had these veteran quarterbacks, plug and play. He's young. You already said there will be some ups and downs. Just from your perspective, what's that like to watch that? Because you guys are so heavily invested in him too, right?
Yep. You go play. I don't know. I wish I could sit here and tell you. We're about to go through it.
You're braced for whatever.
Yeah, you're about to go through it. We went through it last year for a short period. We're sitting up here against the Rams, and I'm thinking, what were we down at halftime? What, 21-0, 24-0? And there wasn't a lot of hope in my box. And next thing you know, we're tying the freaking thing up. I say, okay, that's what this guy can do. So no, there'll be some, like with any young player, there's ups and there's downs and they look bad and they'll look great. That's normal. They get beat, they miss a pass, they drop a ball. That shit happens. Unfortunately, Twitter today accentuates on the one negative. There might be 10 positive, but there's the one negative that they'll pull out and just needle at, you know?
He does seem to have focus though, where it doesn't.
It
phase
don't.
him.
Yeah, that's a good thing about, like, things, he doesn't get rattled by that. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Chris, you guys, when you drafted Latu, you said pass rusher, and he's gonna contribute early. Now that you're sitting, how do you anticipate, I mean, is he gonna be the third down guy?
He'll
where
play.
Tyquan,
He'll play. He'll play. Yeah, he's going to play a lot. All of them are going to play. I mean, you think you hope to get 9. I mean, in a dream scenario, I'd get 10 up. All 10 of them would be up. Depends on week to week if that can happen. But they're all going to play, and they're all going to get their chances. But we like Latu. I think he got a chance to do some pretty special things, man.
What about Latu allowed him to start camp strong and finish it strong without maybe a dip that some rookies have?
Instincts. He got pretty freaky instincts. Watch his eyes never come off the quarterback, ever. It's pretty impressive to watch. Go ahead, Kevin.
Josh got banged up, obviously. AD and Alec, what did you see from them throughout the month of August?
I think Alec has just had his best camp, arguably as good as anybody out there. Consistent, shows he can play inside and out. AD is kind of what we thought he was. I mean, he's a very talented young player. He's still learning, but they're both going to have really good years and help us. That's a really good room. It's a good group. Reggie's done tremendous work.
All right.
Awesome.
but I'm glad you got a good
Thank y'all. Be good.